What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again. So, apparently, huge changes are coming to Destiny 2. It seems that game director Chris Barnett is now in charge of Destiny 2. Or at the very least, he's in charge of this new batch of changes. For those of you who do not know, Christopher Barnett is a longtime Bungie employee and current art director on Destiny. He's been working with Bungie since 1999, so he had his hands in all of the Halo games. Being the art director, he's also in charge of the one thing I think that I've always loved about Destiny, the art direction. So, you know what? This is a pretty good change. I'm actually really happy that the game seems to be in his hands, because I find artists and writers often know the worlds way better than, I don't know, some guy in middle management whose only real gaming credentials is that he worked on a blog at some point in the early 2000s and bitched about Halo 2. That said, while I can give credit where credit is due, I do think Christopher Barnett is a great choice to be in charge of Destiny 2, and I think, by and large, most of these changes are exactly what we've been asking for, with the notable exclusion of ranked play. However, I do feel obligated to mention that all of these changes really should have been in Destiny when it released. Most of this is common sense stuff. That's not me looking the proverbial gift horse in the mouth either. If a lot of these things shipped, like they should have, the manpower being wasted going back and fixing these things could have been spent better elsewhere. And that's in no way a criticism of the live team. In fact, I kind of feel pity for the live team in this endeavor. This is literally the equivalent, and I think a lot of people are going to sympathize with this, of going to work, finding out that the person who was on the shift before you or working the night before in your opening, or you just clocked in and they clocked out, has done none of the things that they were supposed to do, and it all falls on you to complete it. So instead of doing all the things that you need to be doing, now you're playing catch up because somebody else couldn't do their job. That's the position I feel the live team's in. And I really do feel sympathy for them. I mean, this list really looks like the live team is playing catch up because the Destiny 2 team dropped the ball. So, here's looking out for the live team, and I hope they nail this out of the park. So, how about that list? New systems and rewards to give our most engaged players an additional, optional pursuit. Better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities. Better rewards and replay value for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. Private matches for the competitive community. Thank fucking God. Dude, even if you're not like a fan of playing competitively, competitive MLG Destiny would be so fucking cool to watch. Crucible tuning, like adjusted supremacy scoring and better spawning rules. Better incentives for completing Crucible matches and penalties for quitting competitive games. Continued improvements of Iron Banner and faction rallies, including uniqueness of rewards. Changes to make the mod economy more interesting and impactful. Ongoing improvements to exotics, including adjustments to reduce instances of duplication. A new way to spend surplus currencies and materials, looking at you legendary shards. An emote interface that allows players to equip salty, spicy ramen, 6-shooter, and flip out all at the same time. On top of more things that they're working on, but we'll see that soon enough apparently. At first glance, I really like this list, until I noticed a couple of things. No ETA on when these changes will be implemented, so this could be tomorrow, it could be early 2018, as the custom games is the only one with a projected date. And that's important, because it's the difference between fixing the game because it's broken and fixing the game with DLC. And that's an important distinction. If we look at the first 3 examples on the list, new systems and rewards to give our most engaged players additional and optional pursuits, better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities, better rewards and replay value for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. These are all mid to end game reward systems. The first one in particular, new systems and rewards to give our most engaged players yada 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 yada. What does that even mean? Does that mean we'll have a new raid with the Curse of Osiris that will have additional rewards and pursuits? Well, if that's the case, that's not really a fix to the current game now, is it? Sure, it fixes the endgame issue, I guess, but it does it for 20 bucks. But that won't fix what we've already paid for. Are they talking about the ornament system? Well, that's cute, don't get me wrong, but there's not much longevity in that. If they're talking about the current hard mode Leviathan raid and adding weapons that are different than the current raid weapons, then we have a win in the right direction. But if it's any of the above listed stuff, while it's an improvement, it's not really an improvement. Don't get me wrong, I like things like the changes to the mod economy, improvement to exotics, and a new way to spend our currency, and all of that is très magnifique. But I do wish they went into more detail about how they were going to do any and all of that. Because, for all we know, this is just a list of ideas on a whiteboard with no real plan of execution. And I'm sure I'm gonna get that, well, Joker's never happy, or he's always so negative, yada yada yada. And you know what? Hey, I think these are potentially good changes, but that's just what it is, potentially good changes. I don't think Bungie has any benefit of the doubt left anymore. Destiny and Destiny 2 is the story of a potentially good game that somehow always just misses the bar. I think Destiny 2 is in good hands with Christopher Barnett, and I think that's an amazing choice, and I love his work as an artist. I do think these changes on paper look really good, but I am very cautiously optimistic when it comes to anything Bungie tells me. For me, these changes need to fix what's currently in the game, not what's coming. They need to be separate from any and all DLC, and they need to deliver on what they promise. I don't think that's really a high expectation. I think that's a bare minimum. But the ball is in Bungie's court, and it's up to them to deliver. So here's hoping they deliver. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below, and like always, my fellow Guardians, stay frosty.